So welcome. Today we are going to talking about a major challenge for open source, the version management, through an example of PrestaShop. But let us introduce ourselves just before. So I'm Clément, product manager at PrestaShop.
Hello, and just as I mentioned, my name is Mathieu. I'm the engineering manager of the payment squad at PrestaShop, and together with our team, obviously, we are building the one-in-one payment solution for PrestaShop, which is called PrestaShop Checkout.
Yeah. Here we go, the presentation. So we will begin by a short introduction of PrestaShop. Then we will jump into the main topic of the challenge of versioning. After that, we'll talk about the link between the business and the versioning, because yes, there is a strong link. After that, we'll discover what tool do we have to help users to get up to date, and then we will conclude. But before, what is PrestaShop? We have introduced ourselves, and we want to know a little bit more about you. By a hand lift, who know PrestaShop? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, nice. In a few figures, there is PrestaShop. You can see that it's a large and wide and complete ecosystem. Around PrestaShop, we have agency, we have merchant, we have service provider, and we have contributor. But above all, PrestaShop is French. PrestaShop is, of course, open source. And PrestaShop is an e-commerce platform. Shortly, a software allow anyone to create easily their own online store. But around that, PrestaShop is also a marketplace where anyone can sell their own module creation, as we represent today PrestaShop Checkout, an all-in-one payment platform, and community animation, and more and more. Here you can find some of our clients. I hope you recognize some of them. For example, Magimix, a well-known food vendor. But let's jump into the real introduction. What I want you to understand from this slide is in the ecosystem we have three main parties with three main entities. Module. The purpose of the module is to improve the core, to add some functionality. It's an important part of the ecosystem because anyone can create a module to improve a store and sell it to the marketplace or distribute it by all way. The second entity is personalization and configuration. In other words, the shop itself. It's another important point because at PrestaShop, the personalization is a real strength. And the last entity is PrestaShop software, of course. We want to show from this slide is each part have to manage its own version. So you can imagine the complexity to manage all of these parts with all of these versions. That leads us to the first conclusion. Versioning is not a technical matter of PrestaShop developer, but the business of the whole community. From agency to contributor to merchant, service provider, and of course PrestaShop. Now I will let the mic to Mathieu. He will go deeper into the topic.
Yes, thanks. So indeed, we're going to see what we mean exactly, as mentioned by Clément. No, this way. Hop. We're going to deep dive into what it means. So, for example, our PrestaShop core software follows semantic versioning. I think most of you know about it. It's a 3-digit numbers where when you publish a new version of your software, you have the 3 digits, the first one for the major, second one for minor, third one for patch, and depending on the change we bring in the new version, you choose if it's a patch, minor version, and you upgrade the digits. So you can see on the left the latest version of PrestaShop Core and how it changed. And then for each modules, they are free to follow their own versioning. Most of them do follow semantic versioning. But when you install a store and then you want to add modules on it, you can not only check the version of the store, you also need to check the versions of the modules, plus the module is going to be compatible with some PrestaShop versions, plus it's going to run a PHP, and it can run on certain numbers of PHP versions. So actually, when you install a module, you need to take all of this into account, which makes it complex. So that's really the idea to get, is that when you're using PrestaShop, your store is actually like a little ecosystem, and each part of this ecosystem has its own versioning lifecycle, new updates, new changes that you need to take into account to handle it properly. I'm talking about new changes, new changes, new changes. What do I mean exactly? Well, usually, when you have new versions, you can have 3 kinds of changes. The first one, quite obvious, you're going to publish patches where you fix vulnerabilities and you fix bugs. So this one, obviously, it's like the software is like this, like before, but better. You should upgrade to benefit from this. Then, you have editors who publish modules. When they ship a new feature, they're going to ship it into a new version. So this one, you could say, I don't need to upgrade because I don't need this opportunity. But you will miss on it. And then maybe your competition will not miss on it. So if you don't upgrade, you stay behind. And same for the third. We are living in a technological world. PrestaShop is one. So sometimes we need to do some technical upgrade, handling a new PHP version or changing a library, and we need to do upgrades. Once again, if you don't upgrade, maybe you're going to miss some performance improvements or simply stay behind. And the problem of staying behind is that the longer you wait, the more expensive it becomes. Because yes, let's say it, upgrading can be expensive. It can be expensive in time, it can be expensive in money, and sometimes where you have built something on top of your software, for example, on top of PrestaShop, and you need to adapt this part. So it can be expensive, but the longer the wait, the more expensive it's going to become, and you stay behind, and then it's a nightmare. So the idea here is obviously stay focused, follow, and don't forget to upgrade.
Thank you, Mathieu. You set the stage of how versioning works at PrestaShop. I will now talk about the link between business and versioning. To understand the link, we have to understand the reality. What I want you to take from the infographic is 2 points. The first point is most of our users, more than 75%, are using an older version of our software. When I say an older version, I say not maintained version. The second point is users are not just only on a one older version, but spread into several older versions. You can see in the camembert, the little yellow, it's the most recent version, the version 8, and all of the other are the older version. So we need to take into account these insights to manage a wide range of versions, because each version has its own technical and business specificity. And you know specificity has a cost, so version has a cost. We need to find the balance to find on which version we need to add some feature, to add some improvements. To illustrate what I'm saying, I want to tell you a story we had at the end of last year about implementing Apple Pay. I think you all know what is Apple Pay. The question here will be the same than the last slide, on which version do we need to add Apple Pay. Again, by a hand lift, we need to simplify the case just before. Imagine that at PrestaShop, we have three main versions. The version 6 with 25% of merchant, the version 7 with 50% of merchant, and the version 8 with 25% on version. Who would, by hand lift again, who would install Apple Pay all 3 versions? Okay. Who would install it on the 2 most recent versions? Okay, and who just on the most recent? Okay. Most of you think like the decision on the slide on the 2 most recent. But let me go a bit further into the decision, because at the beginning, we want to make Apple Pay like a feature flag to motivate people to update their own system to get access to Apple Pay. So we initially implement Apple Pay only on the most recent version, the version 8, to reach 25% of our users. We quickly saw a really important impact in terms of business, higher conversion rates, so greater sales for our users, so greater sales for PrestaShop. And we quickly realized that this feature is too much important for the business, and we need to implement it on the version 7. This is what we do. But you will ask, why don't you implement it on the older version if it's bringing too much value? Two main reasons. The first reason, it's a technical reason, because the cost of the retrocompatibility of Apple Pay, it's too expensive, really expensive. And the second reason is the profile of the user using the version 6 are not the same on the version 7 and the version 8. In other words, the adoption of the feature will be less than on the version 7 and the version 8. So in other words, the ROI of implementing Apple Pay on the older version is not the same. It was not so good. That leads us to another conclusion. Versioning management has a huge impact on the business, but it's always a balance, a trade-off between cost and revenue. Now just before this conclusion, it's quite important, and it's a part of our global conclusion. Really, we think about that. Now let's move on the last part: how to convince user to upgrade.
Yep, thanks. So indeed, we just saw that it's very important to take into account what version you're going to address in the future and the impact for your business. So obviously, what you wish you could have is every user is using latest version. How can we convince them to do so? So we have identified 3 ways to push users to upgrade the latest version. First one, obviously, you're going to encourage them. And by doing that, you're going to do what we just did with Apple Pay. You only publish the new features for the recent versions. You promote them. So you want your users to want to upgrade because they're going to get benefits from this. Then you need to also address the pain point of upgrading, because I said it before, it can be expensive. Let's be honest, it's not really enjoying work to enjoy. So you can support them. You can publish transition guides, you can publish documentation, tutorials, and you can also create tools that help them upgrade their software. Finally, sometimes you need to do it, you might need to enforce it. So what you can do, one example I have is sometimes you have some software, when you launch it, it says, oh, sorry, you are not running the latest version, please do upgrade. That's a way to do it. Another one, when you have some software depending on external services, is to iteratively shut down the services for the old versions to push users to go to more recent versions working. And obviously, you don't do this brutally, you communicate about it before. Let's see one example. At PrestaShop, we used to build our own single sign-on SSO. Then later, we switched to another system that we called Account, but we had users relying on it and to continue relying on it. So what we decided here was that bit by bit, we removed the capability of the previous SSO, we communicated about it, and until there was just one left, and it was finally completely shut down in March 2025. So we bit by bit cut it until there was nothing left, so that users will finally switch to the new system. This is one example where we forced the upgrade. Another one, we know that upgrading your PrestaShop store is sometimes complex. So what we did is that last year, we had a squad at the company focused 1 year to rebuild the update assistant that existed before, but needed some care. And now what they did that they addressed most of the issue when upgrading one store to another version, but also it's much more user-friendly. Now it provides you information about what's going wrong, what you could do, what you should do if you have some problems. So here we're trying to help people who want to upgrade, but it's not easy.
And the last solution, encouraging, it's quite the same that we did with we tried to do with Apple Pay, but here it's one-page checkout. Another features, it's a must-have for the e-commerce. Just a few words about the features. It's to make easier the checkout process. When you buy something on a website, you have to fill your address, your contact information, etc., etc. This process is in few steps. The idea of the feature is to simplify it in a single step, a one-page checkout. So it's really a must-have currently for the e-commerce, for the business. And we decided at PrestaShop to implement it only on the latest version, the V9. Just for information, the V9 was released 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it's a brand new one. In that way, we want to it's a real argument for user to get to upgrade, to migrate to the V9, to be in competition than the others. So we can motivate people, but be careful, as we saw with Apple Pay, encouraging it's always a balance with business. And if the need is not met, a competitor or another one could fill it. So we have to be careful with this solution. Then finally, if we summarize all of the three solutions, enforce, support, and encourage, we can conclude, and sorry for this conclusion, but there is no silver bullet. There is no silver bullet. Each decision, each question, have to be in the light of a context. Maintenance cost, safety, security, potential gain, client impacts, etc. We need to think about the impacts of of these things, and that is why versioning is always in our discussion, in our decision. I will get you the mic to conclude.
Yep. So we explained the ideas, and you already got the conclusion. We had the last and final message. So yes, versioning is complex. Handling different versions is complex. We are living this every day with PrestaShop Checkout because we have seen PrestaShop is a fragmented ecosystem with people spread on different versions. We are working every day to push users to upgrade using this, but there's no silver bullet, so always trying to do better. It can be daunting, but it's just a challenge, so don't be afraid of it. Take the matter into your own hand, don't ignore it, there are ways, and if you do it well, you can get some really good benefits. So keep focus, and it's gonna be okay. And that was the fun.
Sorry.
Thank you.